This is about as close as we can get to the spot where 8 of those 18 victims were killed. The youngest just 14 years old.
But the major concern right now is flooding. I want you to take a look here behind me. You can see the ocean water is already starting to rise. And Bergeron told us these past 2 days have been filled with gratitude.
Someone who works nearby told me they heard 5 or 6 gunshots, but there are actually 7 evidence markers on the ground here behind me. The state has a 2-tiered background check system. The FBI oversees long gun purchases using NICS, and the state oversees handgun purchases using NICS and a separate state-run database. The Department of Safety has declined my repeated requests for interviews about what goes into that state-run database. Dozens of Dartmouth College students and members of the community rallied here outside the courthouse. This is the sap boiling. It still looks a lot like water right now, but it will get sweeter, darker, and thicker. Over here, you can see that it's already starting to take on that golden color. Democratic and undecided voters say it feels like the DNC is punishing New Hampshire for overlooking our first-in-the-nation status. The plea deal was driven largely by the family who did not want to put this little boy through a trial. Lewiston will be remembered for moments like this. Airport's manager tells us that plane crash-landed around 8:45 last night. Right now, investigators are working to determine if anyone else was involved. And while the outside has a new makeover, regulars say it's as if nothing has changed. This entire lower level of this restaurant is flooded. People who were there tell us some of these animals were found without food and water. There were concerns raised about 38-year-old Lindsay Grove's behavior 4 years ago at that same daycare, but nothing was done. The goal by the end of today is to make some emergency access points so people can at least get in and out, but they say it could be some time. And if you've already been out to vote today, you may have noticed that President Joe Biden's name is not on the Democratic ballot, but there has been an ongoing effort to write his name in right here. The conditions were so extreme that the Cog Railway actually offered to mount a snowblower to the front of the train to bring rescue crews up the mountain. And it's been a long night for these DPW crews who have fully transitioned from plowing to flood control. We've actually moved over to North Commercial Street in Manchester. About 15 minutes ago, this road was completely underwater. Notice for snow angels. It's good, but it's kind of heavy. Church bells ringing Sunday afternoon in Lewiston, one to represent each life lost.
Jason Walker.
People from all over the state coming together at Holy Family for a prayer service to honor the victims and their families.
We live in a different town, but we do have a history and a relationship with this part of Maine, so it's what we as people of faith do. There's a tragedy like this.
Mainers are resilient and tough, and they will get through this in some fashion, but it will never replace the people that are gone, clearly.
Makeshift memorials have been set up outside the bar and bowling alley where the shootings took place. Flowers, signs, carved pumpkins, and crosses. In a city where residents say everybody knows somebody.
It's really hard to find in this community somebody who doesn't know somebody who's affected, or somebody who was there, or somebody who's killed.
A city they say is forever changed.
Very tragic day in our history. We're going to be known as the mass shooting.
And right now at 6, News 9 Investigates has confirmed that in many instances, information about serious mental health cases is not getting entered into the background check system for people purchasing guns in New Hampshire. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Vaughn.
And I'm Steve Botari. We have been pushing for answers on this for days in the wake of that deadly shooting earlier this month at New Hampshire Hospital.
WMUR's Hannah Cotter is with us now. And Hannah, this is proving to be a very complicated issue.
Steve, Jen, it's incredibly complicated. And at the root of the legal questions here is a statute from 2016 that was interpreted differently by people. And it seems like because of those differences, information has not made it into background checks. Officials running background checks for Granite Staters buying firearms from licensed dealers have access to information in the National Instant Check System, or NICS. News 9 Investigates has been working to uncover what that includes when it comes to someone's serious mental health history. But right now, as things stand right now, is there any mental health information that is made available in the NICS database when someone's going to buy a gun? If someone's involuntarily committed, they're out, they go to buy a gun, is that information made available?
So it really depends on the specific situation, the specific individual we're talking about, but the information that's available is fairly limited.
There are also questions about what should and shouldn't be reported to that database and by whom. A previous attorney general and the courts had different views of a 2016 statute pertaining to the information going into NICS. Attorney General John Formella says today there's still no agreement.
But it's an issue that New Hampshire has been discussing for a long time, and we think now is a good time to really bring those discussions back to the forefront.
We've been asking these questions in the aftermath of a deadly shooting at New Hampshire Hospital, where the suspect who had previously been involuntarily committed to that hospital had guns, and we don't know when or how he bought them. Even though this has been an issue for several years, Governor Sununu says he thinks there now needs to be a policy change.
To hopefully either get it reconsidered or understand what laws need to be changed to make sure that that information is part of the NICS system.
A brazen daytime shooting so close to Central High School, leaving one person injured and several others spooked. We spoke with one witness who says she saw the whole thing.
I was just in awe. I was just shocked, you know.
One woman recounting the terrifying moments. She says she saw a man open fire at a home on Nashua Street in Manchester, less than half a mile away from Central High School.
He got out of the car and I saw him holding a gun, you know. He was like, you know, he's holding a gun. I think he had a mask on. And then there was two people right across the street from, you know, over there. And then he's saying, what's up? You know, you want to, you know, something like that. And then he started shooting, like, you know, one after another. And then the people just, you know, ran inside the house and closed the door, and then that was it.
Police say one woman got hit in the arm but is expected to be okay. Investigators had Nashua Street blocked off for hours. They say a home was damaged from the gunfire, and we counted 7 evidence markers on the ground. Police have identified one of the suspects as 22-year-old Hawali Maria. He's facing several charges, including first-degree assault, reckless conduct, and being a felon in possession of a dangerous weapon. Now, the second person seen today has not been arrested, but police are asking anyone with any information to give them a call. Live in Manchester, Hannah Cotter, WMUR News 9.